Hey guys, and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program video. So today, we're going to be building a new Duna Station. So, of course, I decided to send up an SSTO, which was not really that great of an idea. It got me crew, but other than that, it was kind of a big hassle. You'll see why in a second. But, I think this Duna Station actually took me a pretty similar amount of time to build as the last one. There was, I think, 7 hours of footage instead of, I think, 9. But it was pretty crazy. A lot of ran into a lot of issues already with it. The minima space has overheating issues, so whenever I load it up, it explodes, of course, because mods and overheating, and it's wonderful. So I'll have to see what I can do about that. I can try adding more radiators. We'll see if that works, but some of the modded parts don't exactly seem 100% stable. Right now I'm doing pretty much the usual procedure, set up a little minimus encounter, and then burn out to it. I think I might do this all in one pass. Okay, I do burn all in one pass. I probably shouldn't have, but oh well. So I think I'm probably doing mid-course corrections at this point. It's a little jumpy on my screen right now, but it's usually how it goes when I max out the what would you call that? The playback speed. It's at 10 times speed right now, just because this is kind of long and boring. There's no real reason to show, going to minimus in real time. I mean, you guys have seen that probably a million times by now. But clearly I need to do one or two things. Either make this even faster or start doing more cuts, because I mean, how often do we need to see this stuff? But here's my first little segment going up. I just rendezvous, or this time around I tried to rendezvous in minimus orbit and then send the whole thing to Duna, because I think that'll make it a little more time efficient, and it sort of does. It probably cuts back the time by an hour or so, I don't know. It definitely saves me the hassle of reverting constantly, because I figure out that one of my crafts just entered Duna SOI and then left. I did that a million times for the previous Duna Station. Another thing I want to talk about is I think KSP 1.6 is out, which was supposed to be a lot of bug fixes. So I'm not sure I'll update yet, but if it starts acting up, I might update. We'll see if everyone has updated their mods yet, and I hope that I don't get a whole bunch of lost crafts again, because if I do, we'll see. I might not have these videos then. I quickly figure out that the little drone I put inside the cargo bay of the SSTO doesn't have a control probe. So that's fantastic. I don't think I can ever send a worker drone that actually works. So that's wonderful. So most of these I just dock up by hand, which is tedious and rather annoying. So I don't know why I can't ever make a drone that works. I always put on every conceivable part and then I always miss something. Just wonderful. So that probably added on at least a few, oh, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, maybe two even. And there's a lot of other things in this mission, because you can never get it done right the first time. I think I've loaded multiple times because I put the solar panels in the wrong spots, and it's never just a clean go without reloading a save. And I think a lot of other KSP YouTubers would also say the same thing. You can never just get a clean mission. Oh well, what can you do? There's quite a bit of segments of me sending parts back to the surface of Minmus. Each one has a little booster with some fuel in it, and all those boosters are probe controlled, and I just send them back. Luckily, with this approach to base building, I can use even less fuel and less parts. I probably could have sent it up with monopropellant engines, which probably would have been an interesting idea. And getting to Duna isn't too hard, because if you set it up right, you can use your Minmus orbit to get out of it, and then get a very elliptical orbit that brings your periaps very close to Duna, or to, sorry, Kerbin, and then your apoaps is still up near Minmus orbit. So you burn just a little bit, and you're already at Duna, basically. It's very nice having a base around Minmus, just because of all the I guess you could call it potential energy you get from being in that orbit. And I think you can see here that I completely screwed up the rotation of the workshop there. It's it's not flush with the rest of the parts, and it doesn't look good at all. But at this point, I hardly care, because I just want to get it up to space, get it into Duna, and it's going to drive some people crazy, but oh well. Yeah, this whole mission was less than ideal. Made a lot of errors along the way. We'll see if I forgot to cut out parts as well. Here I actually decided, oh, I need to send up my worker drone, and I finally do. I probably should have added two of them, because one is really wonky since it's asymmetrical, but I don't, and that probably wasn't the best idea. But here I am lining up the fuel tank, I believe, with the workshop, and I think it's kind of heavy, so it doesn't exactly maneuver around too well, especially considering it's really long, and I've got all my RCS ports on one end. And I don't even think I got the symmetry right on the RCS ports there. I think there's like one on the top and then four on the bottom. Oh boy, it was a wreck. And I decided to send up all of my solar panels in one big group, so it's just one really tall rocket. This whole mission was pretty awful, I won't lie. I had to wait for everything to line up, and then I had to try to get it as close to rendezvousing as I could, and it was, oh boy. Here I am doing something with the comm net, I don't even know why. I tried to splice together all these videos nice and neatly, but we'll see. I'm willing to bet that something's gonna be weird. I think I added in all of the air braking maneuvers for the SSTO as well, which I shouldn't have. There were probably a dozen of them. What I should have done is just shown the final re-entry, but I'm not sure I did that. Next time, I guess. Here I am lining these up. I think I had to do this probably 3 or 4 times because I kept having to quick load for some odd reason, and these I accidentally put them at the top. The first time there's a set of docking ports above. You can see them now on the habitation, and that's not where I want them to be. And then I think another time I quick loaded, and you can see I'm transferring Kerbals right now, but I didn't transfer the Kerbals because I quick loaded it, and that was before that happened, and that messed everything up. There was a lot of errors I made that just kept piling on the time, and I definitely could have done this much more efficiently. So I'll probably step back from these huge missions and do some things that are a little more simple, because this is just ridiculous. But I'm fiddling around with something now. I'm not sure what. It looks like I've gone back to the Space Center. I wonder what that's for. Oh, here I am, probably lining up Duna. If only I could have figured out a way to send my SSDO back when this was closest to Kerbin. I could have just attached my SSTO to the whole deal. That probably would have might have saved on fuel. I'm not sure. Definitely would have saved on time. And I think I have an array of like 7 nuclear engines that are pushing this whole craft. And those will be ditched later. Yeah, you can sort of see them now. But this thing takes forever to turn. Which it's not fun. The gyroscopes are pitiful on it. It's awful. probably another thing I should have done is I set up a moon gravity assist for my SSTO, and I should have just gone back and refueled at the moon station, and I didn't. I just used a lunar gravity assist, which coincidentally ended up screwing up everything. So that was fantastic. But we finally start getting progress, and I'm sending back something now. Looks like it was the station, which is good. That gets to Duna pretty easily, actually. The SSTO is what I have a whole bunch of trouble with, just because of re-entry, and I still haven't really fine-tuned the re-entry of it. Some people can touch down an SSTO easy peasy from outer space, and I haven't quite mastered that yet. But I'm still happy with it. It's a good SSTO. Works very well. Here I end up getting a I shouldn't have gone for something like this. It was absolutely absurd. If you saw the lunar orbit there, it looks fine, and it should be, but I end up having to do a big burn because it sends me on this just course to crash into Kerbin, just because it's insane. And you can see it there, and it doesn't show that in the orbit when I was setting everything up, so whatever that was all about. But I do save a little delta V, but that might have been completely negated by my prograde burn I had to do there. And I think I'm orbiting backwards now, which does even more to mess up my re-entry attempt. I did it right the first time, and then something went wrong, and I had to revert, and then I messed it up. I had to ditch it in the ocean because I ran out of fuel. And then I have to keep opening and closing the cargo bay for the whole descent. Oh, here I am dropping the probe out. And that I have to, because of how the physics work in this game, if you're not on the craft, physics doesn't work anymore. So I have to manually pilot it, or whatever you want to say, and let it crash into the atmosphere. It's, yeah, the physics in this game are pretty weird, but I mean that's what you're gonna get for an older game like this. Anyways, you can see a couple of my re-entry attempts. I think I cut out quite a few of them, but everything goes pretty well. Not a whole lot of issues. I don't even think I managed to burn anything off. I think in the last video I burned 2 of those air brakes off. And then I'm constantly checking my fuel as well. I don't have a ton of it. And you can see there that everything looks pretty good for the landing. But I think I undershoot. Yeah, and then I stall. which was probably the worst thing that could have happened, I think, because then all your speed is gone. But I recover from the stall, and then I try to make it back home, and it's not happening. So I ditch it in the water. Luckily, everyone survives. My one pilot, but the tail section is pulled right off. Oh well, what can you do? I'll probably get better at it soon, hopefully. Because I really enjoy piloting the SSTs. It's a lot of fun. And with the Mark III parts, definitely makes it pretty easy to put a lot of stuff into space. But here we get to the good stuff. Right now I am fiddling with the maneuver node, trying to get something that will work to get me out. And here I spend all day lining up with my maneuver node and then warping down. And luckily the estimated burn time is only 3 minutes and 42 seconds. That's awesome compared to my SSTO, which usually has estimated burn times of like 7 to 10 minutes. But I managed to actually get the transfer window pretty much perfect. It's a relatively smooth transfer. No weird radial in or radial out nonsense. So that was nice. Nice change of action there. Unlike the last Duna SSTO, which I think I messed up pretty bad. Or not Duna SSTO, the last Duna Station. I don't think I got the transfer window very spot on. I think this is my second mid-course correction, and I just have to do it with one of those engines. And again, it takes forever to line up. So if I mess anything up, then I'm screwed. I should have added more reaction wheels. That much is obvious to me. This time I go for a bit of a higher orbit. I think it's a 100-kilometer orbit compared to last time, which was far too low. We'll see though, that might, well, no, because I don't have, I don't think I have the Duna base anymore down there on the surface. So I'll probably bring in rocket parts from Ike instead. Because Ike transfers are pretty easy, but Duna to low Duna orbit, if you're bringing a whole bunch of stuff, then it can get a little iffy. Like the last time I tried to bring up rocket parts, I had to quick load probably a dozen times. That clearly wasn't a very efficient method. Also had to test the craft a lot, which wasn't so pleasant. But at least I make it into a stable orbit now. I definitely try to avoid intersecting with Ike's orbit, because if I intersect with that, then I could fling me out of Duna orbit, and then we've got a whole lot of problems there. And there we go. Now I have a decent orbit, but I need to bring it down, and that will require a bit more fuel, which I'll have to get from my Ike fuel shuttle. But yeah, hopefully you guys liked this video. It was a little bit boring, but anyways, I'll see you all later. Bye.